G'day there, and welcome to the suburb of Parnell here in Auckland City, New Zealand. We're coming down here to visit a little church, and I'm going to start answering some of Suffolk Andy's daughter's questions. So we're going to have to find somewhere to park and not get bowled over, because they weren't stopping. So we'll park the bike up over here and go for a little walk with my beautiful wife, the love of my life.
Hey.
Okay. See? We improved the look of the neighbourhood already. But do you know why this is called Judge's Bay?
When was that thing?
Ah! Yeah, you'd ask tricky questions.
Yeah. And? You don't know?
Don't know. Oh, here we are, St Stephen's Church, one of the first churches in Auckland. A beautiful little church, haven't been up here for years actually.
So she would have seen the Treaty of Waitangi.
We're here to answer Amy's question. And Amy's first question was, who in history, alive or dead, would you like to have a talk to? So I've brought Trisha along, because she's the brains of the operation, and she's going to tell us.
There's many people, but one person is a man named Karl Koenig, Austrian, and he fled from Austria to Scotland in 1939 with a group of Jewish families, and they had with them a group of people with intellectual disability. So their purpose for fleeing was the pending war, or the war, I'm not sure if it even started, I think it was just before then, so it was a huge high time of stress. And the Third Reich, of course, as we all know, even though their focus was the Jews, before that their original focus was actually people with disabilities. And so they fled to Scotland and started an intentional community called Camp Hill. And now, I don't know if any of you know, but the Camp Hill communities are worldwide, working with creating purposeful homes and valued lives for people of all nationality, and particularly those with intellectual disabilities and the qualities that they bring into our lives.
So what was that guy's name?
Karl Koenig.
So there you go.
Fascinating to talk to.
Amy Karl Koenig.
Yeah.
Mrs. V would like to talk to?
Karl with a K and Koenig with a K.
Right.
Very interesting man, I think.
Koenig, isn't that an aftermarket race exhaust or something? No.
Maybe in your world. There we are. Gorgeous day.
Isn't that beautiful? And these tourists must think I look really weird here.
Talking
Holding my helmet up and talking to it. Anyway, let's move on. We're flashing in the best possible way. That's why you're the brains of the family.
So here's the next church we're going to have a look at. That's actually the cathedral, the Holy Trinity Cathedral. But the one I wanted to show Andy was St Mary's Church, which is just there, the wooden one. And so we're going to park up here and have a look at St Mary's Church. Now, the interesting thing about this church is that until a few years ago, it was across the other side of the road, right there. Just talking to a lovely old lady in there, and she told us that when it was moved in 1982, and I thought it was just yesterday. Oh look, Trish, there's a tui in the there's a tui in the tree. Oh, yeah, look. Beautiful. You won't see that on the camera, I know that, but one of our native birds. Anyway, so the lady said that when it was moved across in 1982, no health and safety and that sort of thing, so there's no sign of hard hats and high-vis jackets and such like. But they got it across here with not a single tile cracked in the roof, and the slate tiles up there. Amy's second question is, if you had the choice between a cruiser, sports bike or a dual sport, and you could only have one for the rest of your life, what would it be? And Amy, you see this bike here? I've had a Harley rider describe it as a sports bike. I've had a sports bike rider describe it as a cruiser, and I've ridden it on gravel roads with Mrs. V on the back quite a few times now. So there you go. I'll have this one. Thanks very much. So question 3 of Amy's questions: who, past or present, is your favourite motorcycle racer, and thought a lot about that. Of course, there's the Rossies and that sort of thing, the modern day legends, but I'm going to say Burt Munro. And if you haven't heard of Burt Munro, you might have heard of the movie The World's Fastest Indian. He was a Kiwi, a New Zealander, lived in the far south in Invercargill, that's right down the bottom of the South Island, and he chased the god of speed with his 1922 Indian motorcycle, as he extensively modified over the years. And I think right up until the 60s it was, he was going to Salt Lake in the States with this bike on a shoestring budget, and he set records some I believe still stand today. So what a guy, what a character. Burt Munro would be my favourite motorcycle racer. Well, we're coming into the little town of Cleveland, and the temperature gauge thingy on the bike is showing -1 degree. There's a good frost this morning. The sun has now popped its head up over the horizon. I can't feel my fingers. Now there's another little church up here, so I can answer one more of Amy's questions. Beautiful little church. It's a tiny one. I've actually been in here once for a wedding many years ago. Ooh, there's the sun. Warm me up. The oldest graves would be back to the 1860s probably, the very, very oldest ones. It looks so sad, the whole family. Yeah, look at that. You need to wipe your nose. Amy's question number 4, if you had one ride that you could do, the last ride that you'll ever do, I think, is the story, where would it be to and from, or you know, what would it be, your last ride ever? And this might be cheating, but I would like to ride a motorcycle from London to New Zealand. Now I know you can't ride overseas and everything, so you'd have to put it on a boat to get through those parts. Yeah, that would be my choice for my last ride ever. London to New Zealand. I'll tell you why. Apart from the obvious that it would be a fantastic experience. There is a chap I came across on Facebook through a Motor Guzzy Facebook page. Look him up. His name is Ben McIntyre, and he is actually travelling from London to New Zealand, overland wherever he can, on one of these, a Motor Guzzy Grizzo, not the same colour as that. He's got panniers, and he set out from London, panniers and some knobbly tyres tied on the back. At the moment, I believe he's in India. What a trip. Well, that was nice. 1861 on the gate there. So, I've just finished work, and I'm going to answer Amy's last question, and it's to do with work. And I'm closer to the end of my working life than to the beginning. So I've had quite a few jobs over the last 40 odd years. The current job that I've got, I really enjoy, which is fortunate. You have to work. And in fact, I've enjoyed most jobs I've had. And Amy's last question, what is the worst job you've ever had? And to think about the worst job I've ever had, I've got to go back quite a long way. When I was about 18, I ended up with a job in the Housing Corporation of New Zealand, which is a government department, or was a government department that looked after social housing. And my job was the rent arrears clerk. So I had to keep track of people who were late paying their rent and try and make arrangements with them to catch up on their arrears. And if that didn't work out, I had to instigate court proceedings against them. And these were people that were struggling on the bones of their ass anyway. So I actually grew to hate that job. So that was the worst job I've ever had. Rent arrears clerk in the Housing Corporation. So that's Amy's questions. Some very thought-provoking questions there, Amy. Enjoyed doing that. And we'll edit it all together. Show Andy a few churches from here. Yeah, good fun. Thanks, Amy.